And welcome back to the Homemade Podcast Sports with your host, Jay Pops. Guys, today's date is February 27th, 2022. It is my grandmother's birthday. Official name for her is Momo. We used to call her Momo. Now, unfortunately, my grandma passed a couple of years ago, but it is her birthday, so I just want to say happy birthday to you, Momo. All right, we all love and miss you. Wish you could still be around to this day, but she would have been 80 years old today, guys. So if you all can, my Aggie family out there, please help me wish my Momo a happy 80th birthday. All right, once again, we love and miss you. Okay. So happy birthday to you. All right, guys, so let's go ahead and get on into it. As you guys know, I usually do not do a podcast on Sundays, unless it's an overreaction or something like that. But I usually do not do a podcast on Sundays. I thank all of you guys for tuning in on this Sunday. I know that it's not going to be many of you, and many of you guys are, just getting from out of church, you're chilling with the family and stuff like that, man. So, but we need to talk about this. I thank you all for that. But we need to talk about this. So the college football playoff expansion doesn't go as planned. It did not. I believe they were trying to propose a 12-team playoff. I believe it started with 8, and then, it turned into a 12. Now, I'm not sure of all the details of what happened there and stuff like that, but this is what we do know. What does this mean for Texas A&M going forward? This means one thing only. Texas A&M football has to be elite going forward, because the expansion will not come until after the 2026 year, if I'm not mistaken, and we're only in 2022. So for these next 4 years, if we want to put ourselves in that playoff conversation and be maybe like the second team, like Alabama and Georgia typically always is, then we have to do this here. We have to be elite going forward. That is what this means for Texas A&M. This doesn't mean anything for Alabama or Georgia, because Alabama and Georgia, they've been in the playoffs twice already, okay? They're the only two teams that have been there from the same division. It's time for Texas A&M to start doing the same. It's time for Texas A&M to start meeting these guys at an elite level. So once again, what does that mean? That means we have to be elite. That means it has to be better coaching. That means it has to be better overall play from everybody, okay? Because for one thing that Texas A&M does know is that they have the fans. The fans are going to show up. If you get to a playoff game, I guarantee you that this will be the first time ever where it will be almost probably 80% Texas A&M fans, because we're going to try to do our best to get all of those tickets, although we won't. But we're going to try to do our best to get all of those tickets. If we make it to an SEC title game, we're going to do our best to get all of those tickets, all right? But this means for the play going forward, and for others as well, is that you have to be elite coming in, because there's only 4 spots. That will not change. Me personally, I have no problem with the 4 spots. I don't. It's just with these 4 spots, that makes everybody play to the best of their ability. And that makes every coach around America, that makes every college football coach around America that's even not in the Power 5 conference come much harder than what they've been coming. That makes every coach going forward and recruiter going forward to recruit at an elite level. I remember Clemson saying this a couple of years ago. If they have a problem with the same 4 teams getting into the playoffs, well, guess what? You got to recruit better. So what did Jimbo Fisher do? Coming into this year and going back 2 more years, even before this year, he recruited better. All right, now he has the number 1 class walking in. That does not say that we're destined for a playoff berth because we have the number 1 class. What this does say is that we have more talent than expected. That is what that says. We have more talent now than what was expected. Now, since we do have the talent, it's time for us to play at an elite level. Elite quarterback play, elite running back play, elite offensive line, D-line. everything. We have to come on with it. It's no more close ball games. Any opponent that is lesser than us, talent-wise, it's time to demolish them. We will not slow down going forward. Once again, we will not slow down going forward. I will have those t-shirts made shortly. Please quote me on that, which says once again. But we will not slow down, man. The team that really wants us to step up the most, in which a lot of you guys may not agree on, is the Alabama Crimson Tide. They want us to play at an elite level, so their resume can be much bigger than what it may already be. Okay? Another team who wants us to play at the elite level, although the record is tied now ever since Jumbo Fisher's been here, is LSU. Why? Because a lot of you guys are not going to agree with me on this as well. But Brian Kelley is an elite head coach. All right? I'm going to say this again, man. He is an elite head coach. We don't know what he's going to do at LSU. We do not know that. But we do know this. LSU has elite talent. They have elite talent. They won a national title 3 years ago now. It's going on 3 years. They're waiting for us to keep on building and to get a national title as well. Okay? It's a couple of teams that wants us to get a national title. So that way, if we go into the next season after winning the national title, they can say, well, we beat the current national title holders. Okay? It's something about that, man. It's something about beating the team that won a national title the year before. But we have to play an elite level, all right? Now, the odds of Texas A&M winning the national title, I believe they sit at the number 6 spot right now. That is crazy. Crazy, crazy, crazy. When have we seen Texas A&M ever be in the top 10 so far as win the national title? I cannot remember. You guys have to come and remind me. I think after the Johnny Manziel year, that's when we start being up there. But this time around, after an 8-4 season, we're locked in at the number 6 odd spot. That says a lot, man. So it is a lot of targets on this Texas A&M back. That's why I said that this is what this means. You have to play at an elite level now. There's only 4 spots, man. They're not going to give all 4 spots to the SEC. If they do, then I promise you that will be the first ever college football playoffs that will not be watched. All right, and probably even a couple of SEC fans won't even much watch that because it's just way too many SEC teams. Okay, now I for one will be watching it because I don't care who's in the playoffs. I just want to see who's going to win the national title. I just like to see good football games. Okay, so I believe that we have a legitimate shot this year at reaching the 4. You know, but that's just me. Once again, I believe we have a legitimate shot at reaching that 4. The 4 just makes it very, very harder. And that's a good thing, though, because you're going to get the best of every team this year. Especially now, since everybody knows that nothing will change until 2026. You will get the best of every team. This will be the best of A&M that you have seen in a very long time. I'm waiting on this. A lot of people think that this team is going to go 9-3. A lot of people think this team is going to go 8-4. I'm sitting here and I'm telling you that that's going to be a different story now. It's going to be different. The most games that I believe this team may be capable of losing is 2. And it's a shame because I don't even much know what 2 losses is going to be. Number 1 that comes to mind is going to be Alabama. You know, if we're just talking about the losses here and we're being real, it's going to be Alabama. That's the first loss you think about. But where does the second loss come from? Because from what I know, it can't be LSU anymore because we're undefeated at home against LSU ever since Jumbo Fisher's been here. So LSU is just not on the radar for a loss anymore. And that's crazy because we wasn't saying this years ago. Okay? So LSU, plus LSU has a first-year head coach. Now, I don't know what Brian Kelley is going to do, but I don't think Brian Kelley can beat Jumbo Fisher. That's me. I'm not even much going to say it's going to be a blowout at Kyle Field this year. That's just me. It's going to be a good game, and that game is turning into a underrated rivalry. And I heard Josh Pate say that as well. And I agree with him wholeheartedly, man. That is starting to be an underrated rivalry. And us A&M fans, we love it. You know, we love it a whole lot. But that's starting to be an underrated rivalry. So I don't believe that LSU will be the loss. The team that I'm watching the most is Auburn. I'm watching the Auburn Tigers because that's starting to be a underrated rivalry for sure, at how Alabama comes and plays Texas A&M, because Texas A&M is the only Texas team in the SEC right now, you know, until Texas and Oklahoma comes over. But we're the only Texas team. So when they play us, for whatever reason, they play us very, very hard. And when we go out there, their games are always sold out. I don't care what the record is that Texas A&M has. That game is always sold out. And that's been going on for the last 10 years. Yeah, for the last decade, if I'm not mistaken, man. But all of the Alabama and A&M games have been sold out. Auburn and A&M games have been sold out. That's just what it is. Every time they come to Kyle Field, we sell it out. All right, so that's an underrated game. The only other team that I can think about now, and that's because they beat us for the first time in, 9 years, I believe, is Arkansas. And the only reason why we say Arkansas is because of Sam Pittman. You know, how the way he's turned the team around, stuff like that. Now, last year they had a boatload. They had a boatload of seniors. They don't have the same thing this year. So we don't even much know how Arkansas is going to perform. Now, I was for one that said, do you really believe in KJ Jefferson? I believe what I said. I mean, I do remember what I said a year ago. I do remember that. KJ Jefferson is very underrated. However, KJ Jefferson is still not all that of a passer. If I'm just being brutally honest with you guys. But we will see. We will see, okay? Ole Miss. Yes, Ole Miss beat us. But does Ole Miss really come to mind when you think about the losses? They come to Kyle Field. They don't come with Matt Corral. Truth be told, the game last year, if we would have had better play overall from the offense, we probably would have won that football game. And I'm just being honest with you guys, man. We probably would have won that football game. If Demas would have caught a pass and a touchdown, we would have won that football game. But that's a whole nother story, okay? Let's get back to the subject at hand. Elite level of play has to come in for both sides of the ball. A lot of you guys are sleeping on this defense that's going to come in this year. We will find out in the spring game, in which will be a vanilla spring game. We all know that. It will be very vanilla. But at the same time, it's going to be plays made in that spring game. And I need you guys to really watch that. I tell you guys this every year. And a lot of you guys come back and tell me something different about, oh, but do you, there's a spring, you know, blase about the spring game. I'm going to tell you this one more time, and I will tell you this every year. Watch the spring games with an S. Watch the Alabama spring game. Watch the Georgia, LSU. Okay, we're just talking about the SEC West here. Although, you know, I said Georgia. But LSU, Auburn for sure, because I believe all eyes will be on Auburn this year. Auburn, Mississippi State, and Ole Miss, and Arkansas. Watch those spring games because I will be watching all of them. That is how I start knowing the names of some of these guys. Like Ajayi Hall, I know the name of him. And for whatever reason, he was good in the spring game. Didn't get any play in the regular season. It was something behind that. There's something behind that. Maybe he was just very inconsistent, but we don't know that. A&M spring game. We seen a lot of good things from the quarterback play. A lot of you guys don't want to believe me on that. But we seen a lot of good play from the defense as well. And when the defense came out last year, you guys understood heavily of what I was talking about. I told you that the defense was going to be darn good. And the defense ended up being in the top 25 this year, in which we hadn't been in for over a decade now. So the defense was everything that we thought it was going to be. This time around, let's see if both sides of the ball can be balanced. With a top 25 defense, top 25 offense. If you get both sides to be balanced, I'm sorry, man. But you guys got to believe in me on this, and this isn't just the hype that's coming out. But Texas A&M will be a very hard team to beat. If it's top 25 offense, top 25 defense, and a Jimbo Fisher coaching era that we know of, in which when he was at Florida State and he had both sides of the ball top 25, that was a national championship team. And then after that, they were undefeated for 2 years until that playoff game against Oregon. I'm sorry, man. When Jimbo Fisher goes into that mode in which both sides of the ball is rolling for him, that team becomes unstoppable. And when that team becomes unstoppable, that's a national title run. So getting back to what does this mean for Texas A&M? It means a lot. It means that it's now time for them to step up and be the big dog in the state of Texas. And we're not talking about recruiting anymore. We're talking about on the field play. It's time for them to step up and be the big dog and claim the national title already. All right? It's time. A lot of people are watching. Texas fans will not tell you this, but they're watching. Baylor fans won't tell you this, but they're watching. Texas Tech fans won't tell you this, but they're watching. TCU, they're watching. Okay? Oklahoma as well. They're watching. And another one that doesn't get talked about, but they watch as well, is Nebraska. They're watching. I don't need to say nothing about the Blue Bloods because they've been watching. They're just waiting. All right? A lot of people don't want us there, maybe. But they want to see if we can step up and be the next Clemson. That's what this means. Once again, it's the Homemade Podcast Sports with your host, Jay Pops. Love all of you. Now, I can't wait till the spring game neither. #geek. Enjoy your Sunday.